Ah, nature. Isn't it just beautiful? The expansive diversity of fauna and flora. Also unique and colorful. And every single one of them wants you dead. All while Mother Nature does her best to weaponize the water cycle. Welcome to Rainworld. Slip into the role of this slick little creature known as the slug cat, or an albino hairless cat, baptized in a jar of acid. Follow along as this pitiful creature desperately tries to survive after being involuntarily separated from its family and tossed into a harsh and unknown environment where the creatures and surroundings are as breathtaking as they are deadly, while being placed neatly near the bottom of its new food chain, ranking slightly higher than the average centipede most of the time. The many other creatures that'll be encountered within Rainworld will prioritize their own life and well-being, which might involve ending the slug cat. This includes trying to run away when injured, emphasis on trying, or fighting other creatures for both food and territory. An ecosystem which I will be doing my best to run through the blender of natural selection. So what are these other organisms that are being forcibly put through Charles Darwin's 7th grade science fair project? The most common inhabitant to be seen spread across the many regions is the RGB gaming gators, which come in a variety of vibrant colors, and some have their own unique attributes like gang warfare, being blind,
What was that noise?
and advanced cloaking technology. One of these lizards comes with the unique ability of unadulterated fear. Now, these cool, colorful crocodiles are just the beginning. But first things first, it's time to talk about how to fight, survive, and thrive, which starts with the combat. The easiest method of fighting is simply recalling our ancestors in the Paleolithic era and yeeting rocks and sharp sticks at anything that shows even the slightest bit of hostility. The random bits of rebar littered around the place are often pitched with enough force that at the right angle it'll turn whatever it hits into a wall-mounted display. And while not very useful in terms of offensive power, the rocks and rubble can at least be used to inflict minor brain damage. Now, we've covered the basic means of attack, but this is nature, and where there is fight, there must also be flight. After all, one of the easiest ways to deal with confrontation is to avoid it entirely, much like those phone calls I keep getting from my local police department. Not much is taught in terms of mobility, besides being told how to do a simple charge bounce at the start. That leaves much of it up to player discovery, like wall jumping, which is needed to traverse certain regions. For the more advanced techniques, there's a nice and short Google document that can be quickly skimmed through. But that all pales in comparison to the best movement tech in the game, known as the ceiling bounce. Which is absolutely useless and serves no purpose. Since you've been shown the ropes, it's time to get into the bondage. I mean gameplay. I meant to say. Lone and afraid, the slug cat can only rely on this yellow worm on a string, which will project images of the slug cat's lost family, seemingly guiding us to them while teaching how to eat and seek shelter. It's through finding shelter and surviving a cycle that the slug cat gains social credit. Traveling through the first region, dubbed the Outskirts, is easy enough, with little trouble outside the occasional green or purple lizard, or the Animorph's equivalent of a taser, which, depending on the size, can either give a slight tingly feeling, or promptly microwave the entire nervous system. Not to mention, this one pole seems a little sus. After passing through one of many social credit checkpoints located at the borders of all regions, we move on to the collapsed structures of what might have once been a prosperous third world sweatshop. But alas, it's been reduced to the setting of an average dystopian novel. While the environment isn't much to write home about, it's the first region where we'll encounter Big Bird from Sesame Street. Oh look, here he comes now.
Get the fuck out of here!
vultures, unlike their name's real-life counterpart, are more than happy to do the killing themselves, rather than waiting for their prey to perish. The upside of this oversized pigeon is that it can be fought and demasked, which then can be used to frighten away lizards with the overwhelming level of pure drip alone. Moving on, this next region is pretty trash. That's not a joke or anything. Welcome to Garbage Wastes. Piles of trash form the landscape with murky green water that would make Detroit's water supply blush. It's here that we get to see some new creatures, such as these little red leeches and these worm things that will steal your weapons, but otherwise they're friendly enough, usually. We also get to meet... Oh, I didn't realize this was a Japanese cat. That abomination is an affront to God, and I pray to never see it again. Thankfully, the real focus of this region is the scavengers. Behold, monkey, possessing advanced combat abilities, and they even produce more powerful rocks and spears riddled with red phosphorus. Very useful in revoking life privileges from most organisms, including yourself. Becoming part of the Scavengers tribe is also entirely possible through gifting them items like it's a dating sim. This builds trust and eventually allows free passage through scavenger tolls. The only downside to this is any shelter you attempt to sleep in will be converted into the average college frat house. On the other hand, if peaceful relations ain't the vibe, dropping hard drugs and declaring war on the entire scav population is always natural. Or take my favorite approach and turn the game into a Pokemon battle via Vulture Grub. Pidgey, I choose you! With the deaths of many and the severity of his crimes weighing on the Slugcat's mind, it's time to step out of the average Discord mod's bedroom and step into the beach arc of the Rainworld anime. Though, rather than sandy beaches, sunny skies, and questionably aged characters, we're instead greeted with the gloomy shoreline, a vast ocean dotted with islands and filled with unique sea life, such as the adorable axolotls, or the much larger sea leeches. Know what that sound is? What the hell? That right there is a Leviathan, a sentient aquatic hydraulic press with enough crush force to liquidize the local avian wildlife, turning them into a fine paste. And I'm next. Here's a neat little tip. The sea life can be used as a living, breathing sea scooter, or to conduct surprise shock therapy. With that in mind, we've safely crossed the dangerous waters and traversed the set of the movie Cube, produced in 1997 by director Vincenzo Natali, finally reaching our destination. Yet instead of finding the Slugcat's family, this yellow bastard has guided us to this goddamn Animal Crossing hand puppet. What? I don't understand. What the fuck are you saying? No, fuck that. Well, no use crying over spilled milk. I've come this far and I won't give up now. The hologram has changed direction and guides us back over the lean ocean. Into a new region, where everything seems to be getting darker. So, I've been inside this place for a while, and ended up stumbling across what I can only describe as a biblically accurate angel, which was nice enough to raise my social credit, so that's pretty cool. Besides this region being pretty much pitch black, it really ain't so bad. After going through that, I just had to pass through a section of carnivorous weed and construct an entire ladder. But I'm making progress. I'm sure the end is almost there, and this spooky landscape certainly won't stop me. Does anyone hear that? Okay, I've safely made it past the chainsaw chickens. Thankfully, I learned that they're weak to this weird fruit.
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!
Surely the worst is behind me. It can only go up from here, right? Right, so my statement was pretty much accurate. I've been constantly moving upwards, and this journey is turning out to be more perilous than I expected. On the bright side, it seems like the rain doesn't fall down here. On the not so bright side... Oh. Oh no. Oh, it can't be. Jesus Christ, it's fucking evolved. Oh, God. Sorry about that. But good news is I've found this, worm. Regardless, it's been vital to traverse this region.
Nope.
Though I'm unsure of where exactly this is. Given the fact that everything is upside down and everything wants me dead, I'd guess Australia. This is it. The final hurdle. After everything I've been through, I can handle whatever is thrown at me. Wait a minute. Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah, this seems edible. Oh. Wiggle, damn it. So close. Come on. Alright, I made it. God damn it, not this again. Now, I don't understand what you're saying, but I feel insulted. Hey, wait a minute. Put me down. Oh, my skull is vibrating.
Little creature, can you understand me?
Huh? Oh, I can.
Good. Now listen closely.
What did any of that mean?
TLDR. Kill yourself.
Right. Thanks for the advice. I'll be leaving now.
Oh, before you go, can I interest you in some NFTs?
Fuck you.
We got the Thomas Jefferson 76s.
He seemed like a nice enough guy. He even raised my social credit to the max level. All that's left now is to follow what little of that wall of text I understood, which starts with scaling down this actual wall, while getting interrupted by the occasional gang of orange lizards, which is great, since I've been craving violence. Ooh, popcorn. Anyways, after that short little outburst, I'm back on track towards my new objective, dying. However, unlike my many previous deaths, this time the goal is to die correctly. Cause clearly I've been doing it wrong. With that happy little thought, and my burning rage towards anything that had the nerve to emerge from the gene pool keeping me going, I push onwards. So, I had honestly assumed I'd encountered just about everything this hostile environment had to throw at me, but crack-riddled centipedes weren't really what I expected. Moving on, I was lucky enough to come across squidcadas. They're mostly harmless and can be very useful when traversing these regions, allowing the slugcat to clear larger gaps. Though sometimes they can get a bit pushy.
Slugcat, what happened?
Squid Games!
My house! My dog! Help me!
Once more, my feet touch solid ground, and I can feel myself getting closer to the place that Red Muppet was talking about. This appears to be the farmer race he spoke of. Perhaps it was once rich with bountiful harvest, but now it's overrun with scabs and the many other creatures we've previously seen. And although there's no harvest, at least these little noodle flies are a perfect food source. What the hell is that? Oh, Jesus Christ! However, there is a slight problem, and it's the fact this unassuming expanse of land is home to one of the deadliest creatures to exist. This goddamn grass. Capable of consuming creatures both big and small, this region is blanketed with vast fields of it. With that in mind, if I tell somebody to touch grass, it's not advice, it's a threat. But I won't let carnivorous grass stop me. In order to cross safely, the only choice is to travel atop the antlers of these strange rabbit-deer creatures. Mounting one is easy enough, simply offering up this ball filled with some sort of pollen and they will happily provide passage. Yet I do wonder about their choice in food, as this powder or spores appears to be extremely deadly to any sort of insect organism, meaning the deer is consuming what is basically a water balloon of pesticide. But hey, I'm not going to insult the addiction of the thing currently carrying me over the ocean of flesh-hungry blades of grass. I thank my Uber deer for the ride and promise to rate them 5 stars before venturing forth, coming across one final gate to test my social credit. With the mechanical doors open, I step foot into the final region to get started on the last leg of this journey, which begins with a leap of faith deep down into the ground. Ow! Fuck! After safely descending down the chasm, I enter into the subterranean region, in which one can live out their wildest desires of role-playing as the average rat in the New York subway system, scampering around, foraging for food, and getting hunted by the local homeless population within the tunnels. It's scary how accurate it is. While traveling across the many railroad carts, lots of familiar creatures can be encountered, like the scuttling jumper cables or really angry weed. We might be lucky enough to catch a few glimpses of the black lizard, which holds the special ability of being blind as fuck. Anyways, there's even a nice little watering hole here. It's so interesting to see the different types of animals gathering together, or going for a nice relaxing swim. Oh no. While trying to progress the game, I proceeded to suffer through enough electric shocks to power the city of Houston, Texas for multiple years. While on the topic of your city, how's the family? Don't forget to check your walls. So I finally managed to slip into the filtration system, a dark and claustrophobic grouping of pipes and narrow passageways, populated predominantly by the aforementioned blind as fuck reptile. Having any sort of light source isn't so much recommended, but almost required. Thankfully, consuming what I can only imagine was a floating stick of RAM earlier has granted the slugcat a faint glow, and probably cancer. That simply cannot be healthy. But good news is I can now run a dedicated Minecraft server with my mind. Anyways, getting past the lizards is simple enough and not at all difficult. I mean, it'd be almost embarrassing to die to something that literally can't see. Progressing deeper leads to this massive drill, presumably used to dig down into the final destination of this journey, appropriately named the depths. It's a rather gloomy place, being entirely void of any natural organisms and being lit purely by torchlight and the occasional passing glow. Though at least the location is kind enough to provide a refill of social credit. The reason for this will be seen shortly. The slugcat stumbles through what appears to be ancient ruins buried deep within the earth. One can only wonder what rituals once took place here. Perhaps it was used for means of unconventional worship, but now it lies empty, except for, the mystical social credit deities, who protect this shrine from anyone who doesn't pass the social credit check. It's like a DPS check, but by the government. Thankfully, much like during protests, they're very peaceful, even if you have low social credit. After passing safely, the journey is now but a downward spiral, both figuratively and literally. As I descend deeper into the ground, the very same ground that I spent so many cycles desperately climbing away from, my mind can't help but wander. If everything I've accomplished is simply a waste, or was everything perhaps building up to this very moment? Will I ever encounter the family that I'd been searching for so fervently? Or had my goals changed entirely? What awaits me at the end of... Oh God, who smeared Vaseline on the screen? Christ, this is awful. Oh, it feels like my eyes are melting. Oh, get me out of here. God? Is that you?
Yes, little creature.
Does this mean I've truly reached the end? Have I fully died?
You shall find what you seek, my son. Come along.
What does that mean?
Here you are, your final destination.
This is all happening so fast. Thank you.
I require no praise. My child, may I ask you one last thing before you ascend?
Of course, God. What is it?
Have you heard of the blockchain?
Oh, son of a bitch!